Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Nick, and today Kisma is back, and we are talking about the Ashram life, Unveiled.
Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set. Welcome back.
Hello.
Well, we're going to kind of warm things up here today, kind of diving in. I know that India is quite a big download.
Yeah.
And I know that you've got a lot of really great things to share and probably some things that'll, develop as we go throughout this series. But today, we wanted to just really kind of get back in the flow here.
Get back in the flow. We missed a week. You did great interviewing Mark Cordone. If you guys haven't listened to that, go listen to Be Resilient. That was great.
Yeah, that
great
was
interview.
Really fun to do.
I tried to record a podcast in India and my brain just didn't work. It was like, well, and the little recorder thing that I bought didn't quite work either. I sent it back. So,
oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. So anyways,
I tried to record one as well, a little solo episode, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
It really was. I was like, this is just going nowhere. And so I scrapped it. And
so here we are.
And here we are.
Back together, Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. So yeah, we have a little series for y'all on some of the teachings at the Vedanta Academy. I mean, in the best, I'm almost like embarrassed to say that I would regurgitate the teachings from a master, but in the best way that we can, because, they are actually a foundation of almost everything that we do. At least I know in my coaching. But the first to start out today, we're just going to talk about a day in the life.
The ashram life.
The ashram life.
Well, for any of those out there who don't know what an ashram is, what the heck is an ashram?
Yeah, an ashram is a spiritual community. It's a place where people go and live and stay and study. And what is unique and different about the Vedanta Academy, as you can tell in the name, it's an academy. And the founder, Swami Parthasarathy, named it that specifically so that it would have this essence of philosophy. So it isn't a religion. We don't study a religion there. We talk about religion. We talk about spirituality, but it's really using this ancient philosophy of Vedanta, which is the knowledge.
And how many students were there at the time?
Yeah, when I got there, they had just finished a 5-day retreat with YPO. And when they do that, the campus is really packed and they're super busy. So when I got there, it was kind of quiet. A lot of the senior students had taken off. Swamiji was in Pune. However, I would say full-time students that go in and register for the 3-year course. Some people go and register for 1 year. Must have been 40 or 45 on campus.
So it's grown a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And when we were first there, must have been 10 years ago now. I remember it was probably about maybe 30.
Yeah. No, it definitely expands and grows.
Yeah.
And they have a whole new building. They've got the girls' dorm, the boys' dorm. There's 2 guests. There's another cottage, which has been refurbished. Remember, it was like some guys used to live there, and now they refurbished it, and some of the women live there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And of course, there's Swamiji's bungalow. It's just beautiful campus, meticulous.
Yeah.
And it's a trip. I would start with that, land at Mumbai airport, and you get a car, and it's like, depending on the time, when you land late at night, it's usually like a 2-hour trip, and the honking and the beeping and the crazy driving.
The smells.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, there are still smells through the window. And then the dirt roads and the bumpy roads, and every now and then there's a cow on the side of the road. It's just a trip beyond. And there's a full faith that you're going to stay alive. I don't know how else to describe it, but all right. I use the same driving company. I'm like, all right, this guy, he knows what he's doing. It's going to be okay. Like, it's just going to be okay. And then sometimes it's like the beeping and the honking. It's like, that was close.
And then you get there, it's like the middle of the night.
And you get there, it's the middle of the night. This trip, because I landed a bit earlier than usual, I would say it was around 11:30. No, actually, I got there at 1 a.m. It was the middle of the night.
It was the middle of the night.
So I got there at 1 a.m.
Sometimes we don't get there till 2 or 3.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're just about to get up.
They're just about to get up. So, and then one of the beautiful students, like, someone's in charge of guests. They get out of bed and come and get you settled. It's the sweetest thing in the world. And then you lie down for a little bit and try and sleep. And it's just a trip. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I think is really interesting about that place is that there are, what did you say, 35, 40 people?
I would say 40, 45.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's go on the high side and say that there's 50 students, 50 students in all the world. They're from all over the world.
All over the world. Yeah.
Who will take up a life like that in that particular discipline. I just think that's, Swamiji, I've heard Swamiji say it so many times. It's like 1 in a million.
He said that this trip too, 1 in a million are interested in this knowledge. 1 in a million. So if that, it's really fascinating, but they're very special people. And, anybody that, let's just go through the schedule. So is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you guys get an essence of what it is. So at 4:15 a.m., the bell rings, and it's actually a student goes out and rings the bell, and we get up and then we go outside and chant at 4:25. So that means everybody lines up outside. It's a beautiful way because it's still dark. You look up the stars, the air is crisp and the moon. It's really my favorite part, which I used to always skip out, but now it's my favorite part. It's like, I get to go outside at 4:25 a.m. and stand and chant. It's so cool.
You get 10 minutes to get up and get over there.
And then just to walk out like that air hits your face, and there was a beautiful moon. I mean, the moon's always beautiful, but it's something so special, and it sets the tone.
So February, March, it's still warm. It's warm there, right?
It was chilly in the mornings.
Like chilly?
Chilly, maybe like 50, 60.
All right. That's not too bad.
Jacket chilly.
It was really chilly here in California. I know. It was like across the United States, but okay. So a little jacket,
Yeah, a little jacket, sweatshirt. I had sweatshirts.
We were there in the monsoon one time.
The monsoon's hilarious.
They make adjustments for that.
Yeah.
But it's just like...
Yeah, we'll chant inside.
Yeah.
So then you go back to your room and it's study time from 4:30 a.m. to 5:45 a.m. self-study.
So 75 minutes.
75 minutes. And at 5:45 is tea. Yay. So you walk over to the cafeteria and have hot tea. And it's pretty quiet. Like, I see some students now come in, get tea, and go back to their room. So it's not quite as active as it used to be.
Really?
Yeah, that was a little sad to me. I mean, I always, found someone to sit. And I'd sit by myself a lot, but my friend Flavia was there from Australia. So we'd have tea together.
Who was Krishna on there?
I only saw him once.
Oh, really?
And then I think he must have taken off. He would sit in the corner and write Sanskrit and laugh.
Yeah. He was just for all of our listeners. I always ask about him.
Very interesting character.
Very interesting character. Yeah. And he's just been around Swamiji for 30 years.
At least, yeah. Must be.
He's just this, he would hang out in the hall and he was always there for tea. He'd be hanging out, talking with people. Super cheerful guy. I think maybe a little more comfortable with men.
I think you're right.
I get that. He's there. It's a cultural thing, maybe. But anyway, I remember talking with him about that and some of the editing process of the books and his involvement with that. It's just super fascinating character.
I know. Yeah. He wasn't, like I said, I saw him once and then he was gone. But when Swamiji holds class, oftentimes he's sitting up there taking every single word down.
Yeah. That's right.
Every single word.
And these are the kind of characters that you meet at tea.
You mean at tea? Yeah, at 5:45 a.m.
Yeah,
it's really a trip.
Yeah, they're just such amazing.
Yeah,
you have the most amazing conversations at that.
Exactly.
Did they also have the sweet tea? Did they have the sweet? And
the sugar was on the side, which I didn't use, but there was milk tea and non-milk tea.
Oh, okay.
Because they're sort of half vegan. So anyways, tea. And then at 6:20 is yoga. So we go across like the little sidewalk. There's another beautiful building. We go in and do yoga. One of the students teaches and they rotate teaching. It's a very basic class, but boy, did it feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. They go through their own system. There's a new book that Elena put out with Doric.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I bought it. I left it in New York though. So we do yoga and then by 7, we're done. We go outside and chant again for the
that's
sunrise.
Where you chant the
Gayatri.
Yeah, the Gayatri mantra. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's escaping my
And then,
memory.
so this is 7 a.m., everyone. Then there's exercise. So there's a beautiful walking, running track. There's basketball, there's volleyball, there's a gym. They're really big on exercise. You've got to move your body. If you're going to take in so much information, you've got to move your body. You've got to be in shape. So that there's an hour put aside for exercise. I would usually do after yoga, I usually walk for about a half hour and then I go back to my room, shower. And then at 8:30 is breakfast.
8:30 is breakfast.
8:30 is breakfast.
Boom.
Yeah. And by then you're starving. I was starving. I was like, I gotta go to breakfast. And it was really fun because there's some tables outside. The cafeteria is very interesting. And I'd sit with, either by myself or with some students. Our friend Alak was there, who's just a really beautiful human. I met an amazing woman from Colombia, Nina, and then Flavia from Australia. So it was just kind of fun to be able to pick people's brains and then talk to other students and sometimes just not say much at all.
Mm-hmm. Did Swamiji do the exercise? Did you see him?
No, because he has that fracture in his femur. He's in a wheelchair.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Oh,
yeah.
I forgot that.
Yeah. But I do have a funny story about that. So anyways, that's breakfast. And then at 9:45, we go to class. There's a lecture. And because Swamiji is turning 92, he no longer gives these lectures in person. They have so many amazing lectures recorded that you go in, they put on a big screen and you sit for an hour, 75 minutes and watch the lecture. And it is just nearly as dynamic as when he gives them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so profound. So we have the lecture. Then at 11, it's karma yoga time. So people go and do some things on campus, help out in the kitchen, help at a bungalow. Sometimes I'd work on my business. Sometimes I would end up taking nap early because by 11, I'm like, okay, we have chanted, we have studied, we have had tea, we did yoga. I took a long walk, walked a couple miles, had breakfast, did a class. I'm ready for a nap. I wasn't always able to sustain. But technically, that's karma yoga time.
Yeah. I love that they build the naps in, though.
I know. Well, the nap hasn't even real nap time doesn't happen until after lunch. So at 1 p.m., there's lunch.
Oh, right.
So we're just getting up to lunch, guys.
During karma. Did anybody give you any?
No, they don't mind. Yeah,
they don't mind.
So we just get to lunch at 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock is nap time. And the place just goes really everyone has been up since freaking 4:15. So they hit the sack and the nap, I think is really suggested an hour, 75 minutes. Then you get up and have some more quiet reflection time.
It's a serious nap. It's
a serious nap. You're out.
It's not like a 15-minute power nap.
No. It's a serious.
You take a nap.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that happens. And then at 5:40 are bhajans. So bhajans are when we go back into that hall where we did yoga and they have a couple of the students singing. Suman was playing tablas a few times, sounded great. And they sing bhajans. Here was my big let go. They have the books and it's written in Sanskrit and it would just stress me out to try and sing it because I'm I don't know if I'm saying it right. I don't know what it means. So it was a big let go. And I was I'm just going to listen and kind of do my thing as they sing.
You should have got them give you the finger symbols or something.
Yeah. So it was kind of nice. I'm just going to drop in here and let the vibe take over and focus on that drone, of the sound that they have playing. So that was my way to get through bhajans because I was fighting it. I was resisting it.
Yeah.
I was so resisting it. I let go and I was oh, it's quite lovely.
Did Suman play the tabla?
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah. Oh, he's so good.
He's so good. Yeah.
And his wife was there as well?
Shweta. Yeah, she's got a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
So after bhajans, we go outside and chant again. And then we head over to either what's called big group discussion or small group discussion. So it'll be one of two formats. The small group discussion is when you break into small groups and present a question. So there could be 5 people in the group. One person has a question. Everyone formulates the question. So they don't go to answer it. This is what is so essential in understanding what goes down at the academy. It's all about critical thinking, using your intellect. Someone says, here's my question. Okay, everyone, let's formulate that question. Because think about it. How many times do we ask a question we don't really know what we're asking? And so it's unclear and we don't get a clear answer. So part of the exercise, formulate the question, then formulate the answer. So what happens is they grab certain questions from the various small group discussions. When Swamiji is at the academy, we have big group discussions. Sometimes we had it without him too. So the students would like pass the mic and respond.
Oh, like the senior students?
Yeah. Well, no, it's all the students.
Oh, really?
Those were the times where I was sort of like pulling my brains out and I wanted to throw them on the wall. I was like, what is happening here? Because they'd start going back and forth. And it was just like,
Was it like an ashram throwdown there?
Sometimes, but it was just like, this hurts my brain. Can't we just answer it and be done? But they're there to train.
Right.
Almost the debate and the getting as deep as one can with the answer. But then when Swamiji shows up, it's just like, boom.
Yeah.
Just boom. So that's the format at night. You're in a small group discussion or a big group discussion. It's so powerful. And then there's dinner. And then there's bed. And it all happens the next day, just like that.
The same way.
It's the rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It's so fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked to a lot of students who are in various stages of that process, and many of them we've known throughout.
Right.
Like Glenn was in the program, and Natalie as well, when they were students when we first started going.
Yeah.
There. And if you happen to be in the LA area,
or San Diego, Glenn comes down.
Yeah,
and
he does come
teaches,
down in La Jolla. This is a teacher that, he's one of the people who's been around forever and takes classes now here in San Diego.
Teaches classes. Yeah. No, it's a different language thing.
Sorry.
They say takes classes.
He teaches classes here in La Jolla and also up in LA. But I remember watching him go through that process, and it seems like that day in, day out. I'm not going to say it takes a toll on people, but it definitely makes a transformation. And so I'm wondering, like, what are your insights? This time?
Well, here's how. So over a period of time, here's how it goes with me. Day 1, you're like, oh, this is so cool. I'm back at the ashram. This is amazing. Day 2, it's like, day 2, because of where my room was, I couldn't hear the bell in the morning, which was kind of sad. So I did end up setting my alarm. Day 2, slept through the chant. Oops. Okay. And then you're just like in a phase. And then day 3, it's like, okay, I'm up, I'm going, I'm doing it. And, by 7 p.m., it's just like, I just got to go crawl in bed. But I did, and I would eat and everything. And then day 4, you start to feel like someone is pulling the skin off of your body. Like there's this.
Like in a good way?
No, not at all. Like you're leaving the world as you know it, and you're entering another dimension is the best way I can put it. Like all that stuff is just kind of being like pulled off of you like a wetsuit, and it's helping you to be more present there. But without the distractions of the world, you not only get present, you have to face some things that show up. And so by day 5, like to me, whatever demon, I used to have those dreams that were like spiritual regurgitation. I didn't have them this time. I think maybe one night I did. Just basically you're purging in your dreams so that you have room for the knowledge. But like day 5, you're like, oh man, I really got to look at that. It keeps coming up. You have alone time, and there's not, there's quiet time. So things come up that you got to look at, and you don't go through it through some experience of breathing or ayahuasca. Like all those are cool. This is you sitting in your room dealing with it.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's more powerful.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly less side effects.
There's less side effects, and you can't navigate around it. You have to go through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what happens? So I was like, all right, day 6, you're sort of like, oh, I'm here, and 7, 8. But for me, it was like, well, I don't think I could ever stay here for a year. Yet it's always about the time I'm going to leave. I'm like, oh, I have to leave.
Yeah.
Can I change my flight? Can I stay? So it's really interesting what the mind does.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole point of it in a certain way, is like this schedule and what we do here for all intents and purposes remains unchanging.
Yes.
This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And your mind will do whatever your mind is going to do with that. It'll fight it. It'll love it. It'll hate it. It'll get confused. It'll do like all these different things. And it just continues on.
It just goes on.
It just goes on.
Like the schedule's going, the ashram's running, the academy's going. Yeah.
But it really, like, I agree with that. Like, that's been my experience too. And, where also while you're there, a whole lot of things that seem super, super important are like totally meaningless.
This is true.
Just totally meaningless.
It puts everything into perspective very quickly.
And I don't know, sometimes for me too, is like, just makes me think like, what are you doing with your life, man? You know, like there is some of that, you know, like, what have you done? You know?
Yeah.
Not always in a really good or healthy way either.
No, I know.
I think that just kind of comes out as it comes out. But also sometimes in a really good and healthy way of like, okay, you know, we need to readjust a few things here. But it's like your mind just does whatever it's going to do with that. And whatever's in there is coming out.
Yeah, for sure it is.
You're just going to get to deal with it.
Right.
But that's, I think you put it really well. That's, I think, part of the beauty of that particular place and process and their way of doing things is that, you know, no, we're not going to have you do a rebirthing experience or some elaborate process or something like this.
Yeah, we've done those.
You're just going to deal with it.
You're just going to deal with it. You're going to use your intellect. The whole idea is develop your intellect, discern what is truth, what's real and not real, guide your emotions higher, and seek the self.
Yeah.
It's all about seeking the self within.
Yeah.
And is it the fast track? No, but it's probably the only track to really get to that self-actualized state.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, people can argue there's different ways. He did a great lecture we'll talk about on another podcast about getting there halfway, what that means. But honestly, it's just realizing the self. And the only way to really do that is to be so objective that you give yourself up to Source Brahman. Like there is no ego. It's incredible. I mean, I'm not speaking like trust me, I'm not. Obviously, right. I did not attain that state, people.
Well, we'll keep working on it. Maybe next week. That's funny. Yeah, I had little exchanges. This one Facebook group that I visit every once in a while. I snooze it every 30 days and just see if anything more inspiring comes back through. I don't know why I do that, but I do that sometimes. And you know, people were asking like, you know, like, what are you working on? I'm like, I want to be perfectly objective in the world. And it's so funny. Like somebody chimes in right below. It's like, I want the opposite. I want to be totally subjective in the world.
Go for it, dude.
Cool, man. Like this is the funny part. Like this is the most hilarious part of the whole thing. And this, like, to me, it highlights the insanity of some of the spiritual realms and communities is I was like, great, like have at it, you know, enjoy. And then they just start writing back again and again. They're like trying to explain to me.
Yeah. Hook you in.
Like, okay. Like,
no, I just said I wanted to be objective. I don't care.
Right. I think we're good here. We're just talking about this whole thing, trying to explain. And I'm just like, all right, like, snooze. Like, we'll try again next month. You know, maybe a productive conversation, but, or not. But I think that's one of the really great parts about that community is they're speaking from the same language. They're studying consistency, and they're studying consistent texts that are, you know, from a particular philosophy.
Right. There's a curriculum that Swamiji wrote or commented on the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads or his own texts.
So you have this consistency about it. And within that, there is all the room in the world for creative thinking.
Right.
Like nothing, I've never seen anything be off limits as far as like what you can ask and things like that. Like they try to guide you.
You do get blasted a bit.
Right. You ask this is one of the places where you go in the world, people, where there are stupid questions.
I got blasted.
You got blasted.
I always do.
Yeah.
But then there's always an amazing teaching. Like he'll blast and then he'll go off on some beautiful, amazing thing that you're just like, oh,
yeah,
wow.
You really can't take it personally.
No. He did tell me though, it was funny. Like he's like, I've made a colossal waste of this lifetime. Next lifetime, you'll be better. I was like, I was telling the students that, and they're like, oh, he's just kidding. And then one of the South African students says, no, he's not kidding.
Oh.
He'll say these things and everybody wants to think he's kidding, but he really isn't. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think he was kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. People are going to get the wrong idea. They think he's like some abusive guy.
No. Like he's very direct and he's very real. And it's with, he calls it the right use of emotion. He's actually not upset. He just displays an emotion or an essence to get his point across.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think it's worth it for everybody to understand like where he comes from.
Yeah, right.
Okay, self-realized, not self-realized, like forget about all of that. Whether he is or isn't.
Why would we even talk about it? We don't know what it is. Yeah.
Why bother? But he really will only speak from that highest place.
Exactly.
He's only ever teaching from that highest place, which we're going to talk about in a future episode of like, the world is an illusion. You have no idea who you are. And you don't know, basically everything that you think you know is totally worthless. Because you lack this fundamental knowledge of your true nature.
Right. That's it. That's where he comes from.
That's the only thing that is worth attaining in this life. So he comes from that space.
Right.
And that's only where he comes from. So when he teaches and shares some things like that, like could sound really shocking, like that you made a colossal waste of your life. Like we've been around it long enough that I think we can have a good laugh of it, but I don't want anybody out there listening and thinking like, what is this place?
Yeah. No. And it was in a private setting too. I did one-on-one. So when he's like, the next life, you'll be fine. I just gave him a thumbs up. Like, awesome.
Great.
I got it.
Got a little time left here. Wonder what we'll do.
Yeah. But it is dynamic and amazing. And, people do go through it. I remember talking to a friend and I forget the timeline. She said after so much time that she joined, she went running out of the ashram down the road to the village and just got to a phone and called somebody at home. It's just like, what have I done?
Yeah.
This was like several years ago and they sort of talked her off the ledge. It's okay. Like you do hit that wall.
Yeah.
At some point. And then either you break through it or you go home. And look, whatever amount of time you spend there, it's precious.
Yeah.
No one's going to judge you. They don't make anything right or wrong. And the beauty of this teaching is he always says, don't take my word for it. Always question. So that's how you know you're not in a cult.
Right.
It's like always question what I'm teaching. This is using your intellect. This is the art of inquiry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really key ingredient. It's something that we've always included with anything to do with Source Movement and Illumination Academy. And it was one thing that I was really happily surprised at was like one of the very first slides in the Energy Mastery teachings as well. Is like, don't believe any of this, go make your own experiments.
Right.
And it's like, yes, like, yeah, as appealing as I think, cults may be, like, it seems kind of fun. Like, what a wild ride, but,
not good.
No, I think at the end of the day, the
brainwashing's no good.
No, the loss and the destruction that comes from that is, deep, not only just deeply damaging, but also like really, really disruptive to the ultimate path. It actually winds up keeping you way, way more stuck.
Right.
So no worries, everybody. Like you can't be looking for a cult from Illumination Academy.
No cults here. So that's it. That's a day. That's ashram life. I mean, the other thing I can add in, the food was amazing. Actually, it's really, awesome. They're doing a great job with the food.
Was they on the top of their game from the YPO?
Yeah. And just that they're really, it was actually the last trip there. I asked Sunandaji, Swamiji's daughter, I was like, what's with the food, man? It's better. And she's like, it's one of the times that they're engaging fully with their senses. And so we just thought we might as well make it really enjoyable.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was something I was like paraphrasing what she said. So that was good. Vegetarian, obviously mostly vegan.
Yeah.
So yeah, stayed healthy, did the thing. It was awesome.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole style of ashram food.
That might not be so yummy.
At other
ashrams.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was making me thinking of it because I learned a little bit about it watching Chef's Table.
Oh,
and
right.
The Buddhist nun,
Yeah.
Jem Kwan. She was amazing. But she talked about these, kind of the idea of the ashram food and
it's spiritual.
What sorts of tastes they stay away from to promote.
Exactly.
To promote the
right.
fully functioning mind, to be fully available to, the teachings that are being shared.
And they pray before every meal. That was the one I can never really remember. I just know that Brahman's in it a lot.
It's from the,
so just like, say
from
Brahman.
the Bhagavad Gita.
It is from the Bhagavad Gita. But the meaning of it is to remind ourselves we eat so that we have the energy to be on a spiritual path.
Right.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So there it is, everyone. If you want more information, just email us at info@sourcemovement.com. As well, if you're interested in the local classes with Glenn Callahan, email us so we can just get you connected with him. He usually teaches weekly in the La Jolla area, sometimes via Zoom, and he's in LA.
That's right.
And happy to share that. Happy to share more if you want to visit the ashram. But that's it. And we will have some episodes where we dive deeper into the teachings.
I can hardly wait.
I know. It's going to be fun.
Well, I am so happy that you're back.
Thank you.
Can't wait for the future episodes. To all you out there, definitely reach out for some information, but also give it a share.
Oh,
you never know somebody out there who's like, what the heck goes on in those things? Is that a cult? And, you can get a little bit more clarity on that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to share, and we would just love that.
That'd be awesome.
Have an awesome day, everybody. Peace.
Namaste. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.